evening, guys, and welcome to This Is Us. Today, we'll be moving on to the next part from our last episode, which was titled Our Parents and Our Upbringing. If you missed the last episode, please, after this episode, go back and watch it and make sure you hit the notification and the subscribe button. Okay, let me introduce you to our panelists. We have Tyler.
Hey, what's up, people? How you doing?
We have G.
Hi.
And we have Jude.
What's up, people?
Okay, so and I'm your host, G, and our topic for today is coming of age. So when did we become comfortable in our own skin? If we think about when we grew up to where we sort of thought to ourselves, okay, I'm comfortable, I am me, and I have outgrown or grown to the point where I can have a discussion with my parents. Okay, I'm going to start with myself. Growing up in Nigeria and then moving into the UK was how my life started. And when I moved into the UK, it was not easy. My parents still had the same rules that they would have if I was in Nigeria, but then it was a little bit different. They had rules such as, oh, who is that friend? You can't be friends with that one. That one is non-Nigerian. She cannot be your friend. Where are you going? Little things like, for example, if my friends had birthday parties, my parents would give us an invitation. I'd receive an invitation from the friend. I would tell my mum, we've been invited to this party. My mum said, okay, you can go. I'll put it on the fridge to remind her. The time will come for the birthday party. Mummy, can I go? Have you done your homework? Okay, I've done my homework. Mummy, can I go? Have you done your housework? Mummy, I've done my housework. Can I go? Have you cleaned the chicken and meat? My mum has not even brought the chicken and meat out to be defrosted. So my mum always had barriers in the way when it came to my growing up. She was very closed in, very, I'm keeping you in, you cannot go. It was very much, we couldn't go out. So I'm gonna pass this on to Tyler. Tyler, how were your parents, how did they influence your friendship?
So as I mentioned in last week's episode, I grew up with my mum and my stepdad, and then I went to stay with my dad for a few years. So I did a bit of both. My mum, I was quite, like, easy is not the word, like, but she let me be free to an extent. You know, we lived in Bow on a council estate. It was like a masonette, you know, 2-floor. Yeah. And it was quite a neighborhood. It was quite a neighborhood vibe. I was friends of the other kids along the balcony and all that kind of stuff. So we used to just play out. We used to play out around the area, and we'd just come home, and it was quite free. So and I was always quite confident and stuff. So I had loads of friends, and it was always quite good like that. When I lived with my dad, it was completely different because he was so strict. So I'll give you an example. I had to be home at 7 p.m. And this is when, you know, I was young. I'm talking like year 9, even like up to year 10. I had to be home at 7 p.m. No matter what day it was. If I went out, 7 p.m. was home time. Imagine one of my friends was having a birthday party one time, right, at his house. He had a big house. Everyone was going. I had to be home at 7 p.m. The party started probably at like 6:30. You know what I mean? So I went to the party, and then it obviously came to like near 7 p.m. It only took me like 10 minutes to get home. Did I go home? No, I didn't, because I wanted to enjoy the party.
That's
and because I knew my dad was going to beat me, I stayed there all weekend.
All weekend.
That's a real story. I didn't go home. And that was probably the end of my dad's relationship. And then that's when things started going downhill. Yeah. Yeah. So I think depending on, like, you know, I think my mum was like good with me, like hanging about with my friends and that, as long as she knew that they were like from decent, you know, they had decent parents and you know? So yeah, yeah, that's it in a nutshell, I guess.
I don't know. I think for me, it was quite similar, because my mum would say, we used to live in an estate. We lived in an estate in Walthamstow. And my mum would tell us, oh, you can go outside to play. And then like, there'll be a time we needed to be home. And she'd be shouting out the window, Waka, Ivani, come home now. It was like, oh, there's your mum. Your mum's calling you. And it would be like mid-afternoon. We're all like, okay. But they were very much, but they knew what they were doing. And my mum was very much, she knew what was out there, wanted to keep us safe. And we thought it was too much, but it's just how she thought it should be. Jean, what about you? Were your parents very influential in the sort of friends you had, or in sort of how your teenage years went?
What age is teenage years again?
We're talking between the age of maybe 13 to about 16.
Okay, so because I came here when I was 16, but ages 13 to 16 was very, I didn't go out, I don't think. I can remember going to maybe two parties, but I remember one. Um, Same with Tyler. I don't even think I had a curfew. I just wasn't allowed out.
Yeah.
And so he went to school, he came back, or no, I went from school because I had extra lessons after school, go there, and I'd be there like an hour early because I went straight from school. So the driver would literally sit with me throughout the whole, because I have no driver, and he would sit with me for
In
the whole
London?
time. God no, this is back home in
Oh, okay.
Nigeria. My bad.
Yeah, people do have drivers here though.
My dad was naira rich, not pound rich.
Okay, okay.
So yeah, no, it was lessons. We called them lessons. So we'd go to the lessons afterwards. And then I remember, I don't remember having any friends come over. Maybe one that was allowed to come over.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't have any friends really. And I remember the party I went for, I think I was maybe 15 or 16. Maybe I just turned 16 then. I want to say 15 even. And I went to the party, and I remember I had to be home at whatever time I had to be home. And I was already shocked I was allowed to go to the party in the first place. So when we went, um, boys being boys, they thought, oh, they're gonna have a lock-in. So someone decided to lock the gates of the
Mm.
compound where the party was happening. And I'm like, you guys don't understand. I'm actually gonna be dead, like an actual corpse, if I don't get home at so and so time.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no, it's fine. What are you talking about? You're 15, your mom knew there was a party, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you don't understand. So it was that toss up of, okay, do I just party like it's my last day on earth because it actually is, or do I
Mhm.
just get out? So
Obvious.
I managed to get out, and I got home, and I think I got home maybe 10 minutes later than the time I was told to come home. It was still
Mm.
daylight. That's how early it was. And because back home it gets dark like 7 or something. And then I remember my stepmom had asked the gate man to lock the gate, so I couldn't get in, and I was just
Mm.
10 minutes late. So I was just there contemplating, like, okay, well, I knew I was going to be dead when I was leaving the party anyway. So, and to be fair, if you watched last week's show, you'd understand. I was kind of already dead in many ways. I'm like, okay, this would just be the physicality of being dead. So it's
Mm.
fine. And I think I just hung out outside for maybe half an hour. She let me
Yeah.
steam outside for maybe half an hour, 45 minutes. And then she let me in. And I think in my mind, I was just like, nothing new is going to happen. I'm going to get beaten. I'm going to get more chores. I'll probably just get all the chores of everybody else on top of mine. So there was literally, like, apart from actual physical death, there was nothing else that was new that was going to happen. So
Yeah.
after that, I just thought, you know what, it's not worth it. So every time I got invited, people actually stopped inviting me to parties because of that one. My parents won't
Yeah.
let her out. So, and they used to call our house like a fortress because nobody came. Nobody went
It's
out.
quite funny
She
because
stayed at home.
a lot of my friends can vouch on that in regards to what my parents were like to let us out in London. And I remember Carnival. I must have been about age 16, and I was with my best friend Clara. And we went to Carnival. My mum said, be home by 9. And those days, I think Carnival would go on later than that. And there was also the after party. So I think I strolled home about 4 in the morning.
Yeah, you call that stroll.
And I was trying to open the door, and the door wouldn't open. So I was knocking. My mum came through the window. She goes, you see you, where you just came from. You
Go
have to
back
make
there.
your way back.
Go
Go
back.
back to where you just
Go
came
back to the
from.
sender.
I sat there. I was like, Mummy, please, please. She let me in. It was quite surreal because me and my mum had a lot of things. Like, I think 16 to 18 is where I started to get to the stage where I wanted my freedom, but I wasn't given my freedom. So it was, well, what's the worst they're going to do? I'm having all this fun. What's the worst they're going to do? But Jude, your upbringing at that age, was in Nigeria. I know G, yours was the same, but Jude, what was it like in regards to friendships? Your mum's influence on your friendship, what was that like?
It's quite different from what we've had so far. Yes, of course, motherly love, she would say, just choose your friends wisely at the time, because we know, like Tyler said, it's kind of a close community. not really big area, so you know who the armed robbers were. You know what the yeah. Tell me, trust me. You know what you know who the hooligans were. So your mom would say those guys don't hang out with them because they're armed robbers and they're thieves. So you know that one, but she would not. She would tell you this something in the house. Don't go. But we grew up in those sort of bungalow face me, I face you sort of houses in Benin. So when the cock crow in the morning, we were out on the street. Well, you just opened your door, you were out on the street already. So there was no like really from my mother, because I grew up with mom, it's not like really any restriction from my mom's part. The person who really enforced all the rules was my elder brother. We call him Abacha from, remember I said it last week. Yeah, he would beat us black and blue, as I say. So he was the one who really, because I think what he saw was, he saw that, okay, I'm good with education, I'm good with books, I like studying. So he wanted to protect that. Looking back, he wanted to protect that. So he would put things, so many things for me to do to just keep me busy, not to move with friends. And he did the lesson thing as well. I would stay at lessons after school and all of that. This guy would bring a bowl of very, very cold water. If there was lights in the house and he got eyes, he would put it in that big bowl. I'll have to put my bare foot in there and I will not.
Why?
Just to keep me awake so I could read up to like 2 a.m. So it was like that. If he was out of the house and we were playing, kicking balls out on the street, we hear from the junction, because the whole area know everybody. Your brother, they come. That's all they needed to say. Brother Victor, they come. Look, my man, we'll be looking for water to clean our food. And sometimes it's not water because there was scarcity of water. The tap never run for days. So we didn't even have water to clean our food, and we'll be trying to hide it. And this guy would have seen us from a distance and he would pretend like he didn't. Until later, when you thought, oh, he didn't catch me, you're relaxing. That's when you start getting the bass boss. So party-wise, we really didn't go to much parties growing up because, again, when you grow up in those sort of areas where it's not like people have money around, so there were not really parties happening. But at the time I started to go out to parties outside of the area, yes, mom would say, come back so and so time. But look, before we even came back, she was fast asleep. And we could just, we were so close to the tenants, so we could just knock on one of the doors and say, please, can I just chill in your living room area? And before mom wakes up in the morning, we'll go, you know? So yeah, and in the morning, we would lie about all of these things. When did you come back? Oh, I came back early. Ask that one, you know? My mom never touched us, like I said, but it was the enforcers was my elder brother. So that was the one we tried to dodge.
I think for me, I decided, one of the things I decided upon me growing up was I needed to go away from home for studying. And that was my way of gaining my freedom.
Yeah.
So for university, I decided University of Kent, this is as far as possible away from London. Let me go where I can spread my wings. And my wings did sort of open up. It opened up. My mum will call me, when are you coming home for the weekend? I said, well, I need to speak to sister. Sister's the oldest because she needs to give me money so I can make my way home. My mum's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I literally was staying away because I like the idea of I could be me. When you're away from home and you're studying, you can be you.
Yeah.
And one of the things I said to myself I needed to be able to do to gain that freedom was learn to drive. So I learned to drive at an early age. By 18, I was driving. And because of that, when I came back home, my mum would say, where are you going? I'm just popping to the shops. And I would disappear. She wouldn't see me for a good couple of hours because she felt a bit safer because I was in the car. And she wouldn't see me for a couple of hours because I had driven off. I don't know, Tyler. So I know you said your mum was very much, okay. But at what age could you literally just go? As in say, you know what, I'm going to come home when I feel like it and just go and enjoy myself.
I think, do you know what? Like, I think it's an interesting point you just said about the driving. I started driving at 17, but the year before
I started driving before all of you. I started driving at 11.
Well, I was gonna say the year before I started driving, I did my motorbike license. You know, like 50cc, you can get a small motorbike. Yeah. So I did that at 16. So I think kind of around that age, because I started working around 15 anyway. So I think when I was like 16 and I was on the road, that brought a level of freedom. And you know, I'm working, I'm on the road now. So I think, but Yeah, kind of. I'll probably say around the 17 mark when I started driving. I think that was when, you know, because remember, I lived with my mum. I lived with my mum and my stepdad. So I still had that father figure to kind of be like, you know, you're not staying out all night and all this kind of stuff. And I had a girlfriend at the time. So
At what age?
I had a girlfriend, my first proper girlfriend, I would say, I was like, yeah, I was about 17, about 17.
Maybe I'm thinking about it. Obviously, Nigerian upbringing. I was told if you even hold a boy's hand, you'd get pregnant. So
Wow.
boyfriends was not. Yeah, that was the biology lesson I got. If you touch a boy's hand, you get pregnant. So
Is that the trick? Yeah.
Yeah, we had that.
Yeah.
In Nigeria
So
as well.
that's the only sex education I had.
Wow.
That was it.
Talking about having boyfriends and girlfriends, I know that all of our parents were probably influential in regards to our partners as we were growing up. I know for me, okay, I'd been on dates and you'd go on, I don't know, G, if you were the same, where you'd go on dates, but you'd be calculating, can I take this one home? Can I take him to meet my parents? I don't know.
No. Well, one thing my dad said, so apart from the if you hold a boy's hand, you get pregnant, which I was told when I was, I don't know, maybe 11 or 12. The next time, okay, the only time my dad talked about sex in any way, shape, or form was the day he took me to uni. So I was there when I was 16, and then he turned up obviously he used to come like once, twice a year for holidays and to check on us or whatever. When I say check on us, I mean lecture us for like an hour about something, I don't know. And then he dropped me at uni on my first day at uni. And just as he was getting back into the cab, he just said to me, use protection and be safe.
Hey.
Wow.
That was all. And even the cabman looked at me like, eh? And he left. That was all. So that's what my dad's ever said to me about sex. But in terms of boyfriends, I had a boyfriend. So I left Nigeria when I was 16 and a half. And I had a boy I liked there, but he was a boy, so he used to pressure me and stuff. I wouldn't even kiss the boy. First of all, I wouldn't even let the boy hold my hand. So you can imagine there was a problem. And then I came here, he used to write me letters. Remember letters from back in the day before emails and DMs and things? I didn't think I knew what email meant. So we used to write back and forth and whatever. So when I went back home, it's like, oh, can I be your boyfriend? I'm like, yeah, okay, fine. But it wasn't anything, I never thought about, okay, who am I going to take home to my parents or anything until maybe a lot later. But because I came from a Muslim family, my dad made it very clear that I was to marry a Muslim man. So even if I went on dates or whatever, it was never, I would know straight away, like, I can't take you home. It doesn't matter, you know. But it wasn't, I think with boyfriends, I didn't have a lot. I had boyfriends, but not a lot of boyfriends, if that makes sense.
It does.
I in many ways, I operate as a man. Let's just put it that way. So
What's that supposed to mean?
Fun.
You need to expand on that.
Basically, first year of uni for me was a lot of fun. I didn't make any friends. I had a lot of acquaintances. So I'd be like, oh yeah, him. Oh yeah, him. Oh, okay, him. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. But boyfriend wise,
is it now?
I don't think I got a proper boyfriend until maybe I was maybe 20, 21, I want to say.
Because you said you have boyfriends, but not a lot of boyfriends. Now, I think I know what that means, but I think I
had friends that were boys.
Boys, yeah.
But we were not in a relationship.
Not in a relationship.
That makes sense. There was nothing serious. I had boys that wanted to be in a relationship, but like, no, I don't want to date you. This is what it is. If you can't handle it, then you know. But I always made it very clear. I didn't string anybody along. And to be honest, I remember there was a guy that was really like, oh, he wanted a relationship, we should take it. I'm like, no. So I think the way I got rid of him was telling him I was in love with him or something. And then he disappeared. I was like, oh,
he ran away. Wow. Wait, you told the guy you loved him and he ran away.
Yeah. So I don't.
Young.
But no, but boyfriend wise, yes, you'd have in the back of your mind, like, okay, can I take this one home? Can I not? But it wasn't, to me, it just wasn't that serious. It was just, okay, we're young. I was still trying to figure out, first of all, first 2 years of uni, most people thought I was lesbian or gay because of how I dressed.
Yeah.
I didn't really wear makeup. Actually, I didn't wear any makeup. I had full eyebrows. I wore dungarees and tracksuit bottoms and hoodies. So people just always assumed I was
So is that
gay.
sort of what we would class as a tomboy, like tomboyish kind of thing?
Very much a tomboy. I went to the gym for fun. I used to lift weights for fun. So I had quite big arms. So, I mean, I've been on a date where I took on my jacket and the guy was like, please put your jacket back on because your arms are bigger than mine. I was, so those days of the six pack, I'm wearing crop tops and baggy jeans up and down. But no, it was
TLC days, yeah.
Yeah.
days. I've done the TLC routine before for, I think it was either my brother's first or third birthday. There's a video somewhere in the house.
I'm very happy they don't get on YouTube.
Yeah, for real.
What brought this question out is actually Tyler, because Tyler he said, okay, one of the good things was he started driving, and then he had his girlfriend. So Tyler, tell us a bit more.
Well, I was at college. I was doing acting at college. So this is before drama school. I did 2 years at college, and yeah, it was a girl that was in the year above me, and yeah, she was. I mean,
wow! Look at you with your
pattern here, Tyler. You seem
with your hygge lifestyle.
I had a girlfriend. I had a girlfriend at college, and I had a girlfriend throughout drama school as well. It was like, yeah. Why did I do that?
You're spilling. Your girlfriend? Were they your actual girlfriend, or was it just a girl?
Yeah, like legit girlfriends. Like met each other's families, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. But I don't think I felt as much pressure with. Like my mum was such an open person that I didn't really have to worry. Like as long as the person was decent, then it didn't matter what race, what tribe, what it was quite easy. And I think because my mom,
I think that's also a culture thing because your mom was British, right? So
yeah, she's mixed race. Yeah, exactly. She's mixed race. Her mom's white Scottish, her dad's Black American. So I think I think when you've got if it was strictly, and this is the thing, I went from living in London to living outside of London. When I finished my schooling, I was in a little village called Sawtrey, which is in near Peterborough, and I went to college in Peterborough. So if you can imagine, I went from the city of London where there's Africans, Asians, everything around, to a little village where my mum lived, where I was literally the only Black guy in the village. Then my taste for women changed as well, because I started just seeing mainly white women, because and then I told you when I came back to London when I was 20, so that 5 years really took me a while to kind of understand my Black sisters again, because I hadn't mixed with them for 5 years. And it was that pivotal age of 15 to 20 where I was growing up, I was meeting women, all this kind of stuff. And it was it almost hit me like a shock that it was whoa,
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a mad time.
I remember when my boyfriend at boarding school, when I came here, I was 17. It wasn't a boyfriend, it was a boy I met at the school dance. We had a once a year boarding school. So it was the only time the girls' school mixed with the boys' school. And this guy asked me out on a date. And I remember we went on a date. First of all, the first day was a disaster because he cried. And the cinema people thought I hurt him. It was a white Black girl. It was Titanic, and he kept crying. The credits came up.
You cried at the film. Yeah, what's wrong with that, man?
The lights came on. He was still crying. The sweeper of popcorn on the floor came. He was still crying. The guy sweeping the popcorn on the floor said, "What did you do to him?" I said, "I didn't do anything."
Wait. While he was crying, did you show him some affection? Did you give him a hug or anything?
Exactly.
Nope.
You should have.
I patted him on the back. I'm not good with people crying. Honestly, I'm terrible. Okay. I'm like a man. I don't know what to do.
You should have
held him like a man. Because I cry as a man. You're not like a man.
I was patting him on the back. And then I remember
he's not a dog now.
For a second date, which I wasn't sure if I wanted to go on a second date with him. Second day goes, oh, do you want to come home to my house, to my family home for dinner? And I remember thinking, why? What, meet your parents? Because like, yeah, I'm thinking it's dates too. Is that how people do here? Yeah, you have to come home. I told my parents all about you. Kiniko. I was like, okay. But for me, it was just weird because like being Nigerian and where we're from, you ain't bringing anybody home. And my
At
dad,
that age, yeah.
don't bring anybody home unless you're ready to marry them. I don't want to meet
Uh-huh.
any of your boyfriends. I want to meet the one you want to marry. So I said,
Yeah.
okay. So when he now said that, like to come to his house, I was thinking, I'm not trying to marry. He goes, no, that's what we do here. You come over for dinner, meet my family so you can stay over, can pack a bag. When you pack a bag,
To stay over. I stay over
eh,
for me. To stay over for us.
I said,
Badly. Which bedroom are you staying in?
his bedroom.
Huh?
I was like, no,
Wow.
it's okay. It's
Wow.
okay. I don't know. But yeah, it was just a culture shock. And when you have to play it cool, like you know what's going on, but you actually don't. I think we
Yeah.
Nigerians are quite good at that. They kind of go with the flow, but inside you're literally freaking out, like, what is going on? But yeah, it was interesting though.
See, fortunately for me, I've got two older sisters, so they sort of paved the way for the rest of us. So by
That's
the time I was old enough to start dating, they already had boyfriends, and I think one of them was I think she was getting married. But I remember particularly bringing home a boyfriend, and he had on, I think it was an Arsenal jersey, and then he had these big gold chains on. And my dad just looked at him. He said, "Where did you find this one? See this one that entered my house looking like Michael Jackson." I was finished. I'm sorry, my dad's got that kind of character that as much as he's very strict, we can laugh. I was almost on the floor with laughter. I had to say to the guy, I was like, "I'm sorry, I think you might have to leave before this laughter turns into something else." Before it does. But Jude, how was your mum or your brother? Did they have any influence in regards to your partners as you were growing up?
Oh, partners. There's no S with me. It was just partner. It's not partners.
No partners.
Nah, I think if I want to be honest and look back, I think my elder brothers would have wanted me to start seeing girls on time at a very young, because they were players, so they had girls coming in and out. And then they took my two of my elder brothers. They had girls coming in and out, so I think they would have not mind.
Did that make you think that was normal? Like that's how it should be?
No, I don't think that's the preoccupation of a teenager then. It wasn't my preoccupation. That's their business. But we saw all of that, different people coming. So I know which of my brother was with one girl. I know which one was seeing them left, right, center. So and almost all of them, beautiful girls, and
was your mum aware of this? Was your mum aware that
yeah. They were well within their age already. So, and they had their rooms in the back of the house. So my mom would not necessarily see the girls come through. So they mostly come, and we were used at the time, not used in a bad way, used in the if you know Nigeria settings, go buy me a bottle of beer, go buy me a cigarette. So we were used to get these guys through the back door. So I did some escapism for some of the girls. So if Nkechi was in there with my brother and Nkiru was coming, I would have to hold Nkiru and tell Nkiru stories. But having said this though, look, we then found our favorites amongst the girlfriend. And if my favorite was coming and there was one in there, I'm telling that one, there's somebody in there, go break the door. So because this favorite was giving me things, we found our favorites amongst their girlfriends. But for me, I think G said up to about 20 before I didn't have a girlfriend. I went first of all to an all boys school, Doe College, and so there was no interaction with the female. I think that kind of did some damage. I didn't know how to talk to women. And another big aspect, another big influence was I didn't have a room to myself. So there was nowhere to bring the girl back. So I just did not bother talking to anyone because there was no way. The first time I started kissing was inside a church. This church without gates and stuff. Yeah, that's where I started kissing and smooshing and all of that. We did that for more than 6 months, me and
smooshing.
Everything in the church. Right? We were doing that until somebody caught us and said the Holy Spirit was going to slap me one day and make me deaf. And I panicked. Looking back now, why didn't the Holy Spirit do that all the time? Yeah. Yeah. So you see, so that aspect didn't really make me bring anybody home. And I didn't really have sex until I think 20 or 21. So you see, there was a lot of factors that affected all of that. So my mom would approve at the time of any girl that came home because she saw me as a cooler person, as a cool of the children. She don't have favorite, but she saw me as somebody with I could think I have level-headed.
You'd bring
Yeah.
her,
Yeah.
you're bringing somebody
So
home.
if I
you
came
really
home
serious
with
about that
anyone and
person.
say, "Oh, that's a girl I'm talking to," this
Yeah.
woman will love that girl like a child
Trust or judgment.
almost immediately and be
Yeah.
buying things for
Yeah.
them. Even if I wasn't there, she would call them,
Yeah.
ask somebody to go call them once she found out where they were living and buy them things. And I'll be like, seriously? And I was carefree. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what to do anyway. So, but
That's a
one thing
big
I was
thing.
good at, I was good at writing love letters. Jesus, I was the king of love letters. I was writing love letters for people. Yeah. And I broke some few relationships up with that because there was this guy, my friend's younger brother. He asked me to write a letter of apology to his girlfriend, and I did the letter. And the girl said, "I know you didn't write this. It was Jude," and they broke up. So I was good at writing letters. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I was good at writing
Wow.
letters because I listened to a lot of those R&B in America, and I would use their style to write my letters. And sometimes I would just lift
You
their
should let
words.
me love you.
Yeah. I'll just lift all of that words and the old
Give
school
you
music. I will lift the
everything.
lyrics and use it, and I would take my time to color the papers and send it to the girl. And I will never put my name though. I'll put secret admirer, and some of them will find out it was me. Yeah. Never put my name on it because I was so shy to. I don't want to be walking down the street.
In these days, will you be just labeled a creep?
I know.
So creepy man is that?
Exactly. So we'll give the little young ones, go give that girl. Don't say it was from you.
Yeah.
So that tomorrow I don't want to be walking the street and the girl will be either you sent me this take or start looking at me differently. So we would talk about it that we want to go after that girl, but when it comes to doing the talking, I'll just freeze or I'll run. Yeah.
Jude,
We
can I say something?
Yeah.
You said something. Sorry, quickly. You said something key there. You said like, if you brought a girl home or whatever, your mum would just because of you and how you were. It's like your parents trust that you've chosen well, kind of thing. And I think I had that kind of same relationship with my mum. Like if I was going to bring a girlfriend home, she would know that okay, this must be a decent girl.
Yeah.
So and I think that's a nice relationship to have with your children.
Yeah.
So I had
and
that.
we touched on something earlier where I think it was G who mentioned that the boy said, "Come to my house, come and meet my family, pack your bag." Now I wanted to ask, and this is probably aimed more at Tyler, because Tyler's the one that said he started dating from about age 17, 18. Am I correct, Tyler?
Yeah, I had a girlfriend.
12.
I had a girlfriend at 16.
12.
I think I was I was probably like 16 when I had my girlfriend.
From what age did your parents allow the sleepover?
She had she had a big house, man. Her parents had money, man. She had a big house. So I think literally, probably at like, I think I was staying over her house towards end of 16, 17. Yeah.
Wow.
I think you also have to remember that in this country, the legal age for sex is 16. I didn't know that until I was, I don't know, in my 20s. I had no idea.
Would that have made any difference if you had?
No, because I always wondered why such young people had boyfriends and girlfriends. And then someone would say they're pregnant. You're like, wait, how? And you read it in the paper. Because when I came to this country, I didn't go and read about the do's and don'ts of the country. I was just it took me, I don't know, 5 years just to realize I was out of Nigeria and my life was mine. It took me, I think, I didn't come of age till I was maybe 25. So in my mind, I was like, okay, any minute now, I'm going to mess up and my dad's going to send me back home, sort of thing. So I did not pay attention to what was going on. I was just busy enjoying my freedom, but still not misusing it. So there's so many things I found out later on. And it's probably maybe from reading the paper or listening to, I used to listen to Radio 1 a lot. Radio 1 taught me, I think, 95% of what I know about British culture, including dialects and different accents, different places, and up north and down south and all of that. That's where I learned all of that. So, because I listen to it every day, I still do now. But yeah, when I found out that 16 was the age of consent, I was like, hey, My parents said 25 for girls and 21
Yeah.
for boys.
They
I
tricked
was
you.
like, it's just,
They
I
did.
remember already, and I couldn't hold hands because I get pregnant, isn't it? So it was just.
But even that philosophy don't make sense, because what's a guy meant to do when he's 21? Wait till the girl's 25 or go after a 25-year-old?
No, but the 21-year-old boy is not meant to be, apart from you, Tyler, it's not meant to be dating anyone older than him, really. You go for younger, innit? But you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. But you said the girl can't
So
have sex till she's 25. So that means if the guy's
It
got to
never
wait till
made
he's like,
sense.
what,
I
29?
think it was our parents would say these things until we clicked, until it clicked with us. It just didn't make sense.
Yeah, I
I
hear
no,
you.
do the
you know
same with
the
my
thing is,
sister.
parents know that you believe what they say 100%
Exactly.
up to a certain age. So
Yeah.
especially if you've been like me, quite sheltered,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
just believe what they tell you because the books I was reading was nothing to do with social anything. It was proper books like maths, English, blah blah blah. You know, I mean, I read the dictionary for fun anyway because I was a geek, but I
We all
never
did.
had, and I used to be bullied for it at school until I kicked the boy in the head and he left me alone. But that's
Yeah.
another story. So it's like all the books I was reading were not books to tell me this is what happens or that what happens. The biology I did at school was about dissecting frogs and stuff. I don't
Yeah.
really remember the reproductive system bit there. So everything my parents told me about sex, I just believed it because in my mind, I'm like, why would they lie to me? And you know how Nigerian parents, I don't know about you guys, but my dad would literally start something with, would I lie to you? And he would say that just as about to say something that's completely made up.
Yeah.
But you believe it because you're like, okay, they're older, they know what they're talking about. You just
Yeah.
believe them.
Yeah.
So it just took me a long time to realize, you know, you can go find these things out for yourself and not challenge them, but just keep it to yourself. Like, okay, I know this is not true what you're saying.
You know what it is with me? Yeah, I don't think my girlfriend at the time stayed over my house that much, but I stayed over her house because I think it's down to it depends which parent. It depends whose house you're
Yeah.
going to. Like
Yeah.
my parents, I don't think my mum, my stepdad, they didn't let me bring girls back to our house. But I think if it was once they realized that I was with this girl for like a year or I was with her for 2 years, I think at the time. But you know, I think then after a while they would then allow her to come because they saw it was like she's a serious girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
Well, this sort of brings us to when we talk about what our parents tell us or what they don't tell us. So the sort of topics that they don't have, or the sort of topics we don't have that discussion about. So, for example, as a female growing up, I know for a fact when it came to things like menstruation, I did not have that conversation with my mum. And I didn't even have the conversation with my sisters. And the sister above me is 5 years, and the oldest is 7 years older than me. So I didn't have the conversation. The conversation in regards to menstruation came from my friends. So it was that whole being in school and they're asking, oh, have you started? And all the questions around us. And that's, to me, I think as a parent, it should have come from the parent. But I guess there's certainly, even down to, as G said, she was told, if you shake somebody's hand, you'll fall pregnant.
Touch,
We were never,
not shake, touch.
touch.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I was never told. Even up till now, I think my mom thinks, God provided me to be able to have a child. I've never actually had sex. I actually think we can't have that conversation. Even at my age now, where I'm in my late 30s, I can't have that conversation with my mum and say to her, let's talk about sex.
I also never got the as they called it back home, menses chat. And I think the way mine played out, mine started very early. I think I was 10. Nobody had spoken to me about it. I think I was 10 or 11. I think I was 10. And no, I was 11. I just turned 11. And nobody had had a conversation with me about it. And the day it started, we were away from home. Because I remember we're in Lagos for my granddad's, I think it was we made a chief or somewhere else or something. We were there for that. And it started. And I remember I was in a lot of pain. My dad was like, oh, go lie down, whatever. And then obviously I saw what was going on. And then I panicked. And the only person there, for some reason, I don't know where my stepmom was my dad. And I said to him, Dad, I haven't hurt myself. I'm not in pain, but this is going on. And he just went to buy the biggest loaf of bread you could think of, called a pad, and brought it home. But he didn't say anything. He just, I think later on he said something like, oh, this is normal. Girls go through it. And that was it. I had no idea what it was. I was just told girls go through it. The same way, even before then, I remember nobody had said anything about, okay, girl, your body's going to change and things like that. So one day I'm fine beating up boys playing. The next minute, one breast had sprouted, and it was just one for like 2 years, which meant I was bullied even more by the boys, which meant more fighting. And I was also, and I remember they used to call me not a freak. I don't know what word they would have used them, but it's equivalent to a freak, like by the boys. Oh, there's only got one breast, and nobody tells you about this. Nobody said anything about anything. And it was just all, it wasn't confusing. I just kind of accepted it because up until when the one breast turned up, I thought I was a boy because I was very much a tomboy. I used to like fighting boys and climbing trees and all that kind of stuff. I really liked all of that boy stuff. And I used to like dressing like a boy. Anytime you put me in a dress, I was miserable. I hate, and you know, dresses back then had shoulder pads as well, which is even worse.
Yeah. It was like they're flying.
I know it was. I was ready
That's
to
back
take
in
off.
fashion now, right?
It would be. It
it's
would
back
be shoulder
somehow.
pads. It would be shoulder pads, and then with frills on top as well. And then
Michael
at what point
Jackson.
I had to.
Hey, having said that though, when
had
I was going to
curl.
going to parties didn't have shed. I had to take those shoulder pads off my mom's shed and wear the shirts. Yeah, I took the shoulder pads off and they just went
then for the guys.
Brilliant.
You have to have shoulder pads in your jacket, and then you roll up the sleeves.
Yeah.
Stuff. But yeah, no, it was very weird. But you know.
You know what? Like hearing all that is so important, man. Like, I mean, yeah, like I can't imagine, you know, if like my daughter grows up, obviously my wife, but if it was just me and my daughter, for example, yeah, it's hearing that it's even teaching me, you know, that it's so important to try and have them conversations with your if you're a man, especially having them with your daughter, even though you may not know the ins and outs, just to let them know that they can open up and talk to you about anything.
Exactly. You know? Absolutely.
So I'm gonna take that on board, like for sure. I'm sure my wife, I know, will do a great job with our daughter.
But did anybody ever have the conversation with you, Tyler, in regards to how babies were made? Did any of your parents?
No, there was no sex talk.
You just went out there and learned it yourself, eh?
Well, where babies come from is different. I was told they came out of your bum hole.
No, I told that a stork brought them.
Oh no stork. Remember, in Nigeria, we didn't have storks. No such thing.
No, and then we used to say that the one above us, they dropped her because she doesn't look like the rest of us. A different stork brought her.
And then at some point I was told that you buy them from the hospital. Because several times when my baby sister with my younger would piss me off, I would ask for her to be returned in exchange for another one because she was not listening to me. Then I was like, you know, if you buy them from hospital, here's 50 kobo. Okay, you gotta change her.
It's so good to have so many of you tuned in at the moment, watching us as we discuss our coming of age, so our upbringing and leading us into our teenage and our early adulthood. If there's anything you want to hear in regards to any of us or any questions you have, particularly for any of the panelists, please put it into the comments. And while you're there, if you could just hit the subscribe and the notification button. Okay. So we've just been talking about how our parents have influenced our partners and how our parents have influenced sort of, or what the topics they do not talk to us about. So things like sex and relationships. But one of the other things is, okay, in my family, there are 4 of us. There's 2 doctors, a lawyer, and an engineer. That's a dream. That's my parents' dream. They were dreaming. What they have are 4 children, 3 girls, 1 boy, all successful in what they're doing, all career-minded, all working hard and doing great jobs. But they don't have a doctor, they don't have a lawyer, they don't have a okay? So my parents, like most Nigerian parents, as soon as you were born, they say, that one is a doctor, that one is a lawyer. They were very much to the point as to what we would be. Tyler, did you have any of that as you were growing up? Because you are an actor, a trained actor. Was that the career your parents had for you from when you were younger and growing up?
No, not at all. Not at all. Not one bit. I didn't start acting until I was 16, firstly. So no, my dad was a chartered accountant. So he wanted me also to be an accountant or a chartered accountant. So he drummed maths into me, like, as I mentioned before, all the time. He wanted me to be an accountant, full stop. I didn't want to be an accountant. My mom.
Good for you.
My mum wasn't precious. She was literally whatever I was happy to do, she had my back in. You know, when I was younger, I used to sprint. I used to be quite competitive. I used to run for a number of clubs. So that was looking like it was going to be my career. And then I kind of fell into the acting world at 16 when I went to college. And then I stuck at it, and that's my career now. So my mum just supported me, you know, whatever I wanted to do. But then I think it's different. I'll tell you the difference now. My mum, and this is no disrespect, obviously, my mum wasn't educated like my dad. My dad was, you know, educated. He went to university, had his own business, all this kind of stuff. My mum didn't. So I think the difference is that what am I trying to say? It was difficult for my mum to kind of guide me down a career path to say like an accountant or, you know, a doctor or something like that, because she didn't have that own education herself because of her. Whereas my dad was educated. So it makes sense that he wanted me to fulfill, you know, a career. Whereas my mum was kind of open to like, if, you know, whatever you're happy with, you can do.
Whatever makes you happy,
I think it's about having, now I'm a parent, I think it's about having a bit of both. I want you to be educated, as in, you know, my daughter, my future children, I want them to be educated and all this kind of stuff. But at the same time, the world's changing. And if you want to express yourself in dance and acting, whatever, who am I to say no? Especially her dad's an actor. So, you know,
That's what gets me to what my dad would say. My dad's very good at putting these one-liners. He would say, "You are always a child in my eyes until you have a degree." My dad's words. That was my dad. What you got the degree in? That's where we all used to play around with. But Daddy, he said, as long as we have a degree, even if I go and study, I don't know, I have a degree. So that was his one thing. But then it's that whole, I think as time's gone on, they've learned to understand that you don't necessarily need a degree to be successful. You can train up in whatever you want to be and whatever you want to do. So I'm going to put this to Jude. Jude, did you have any, was your mum influential in, or even your dad? Because I know you had a moment where you did get back in contact with your dad as well. Did they have any influence in regards to your career or your choice in career?
No, absolutely not. It's kind of similar to what Tyler was saying. My mom, they went to, when they had the standards, standard 4, standard 5 sort of education, the one that was handed over to them by Queen Elizabeth and co. My dad, he was the one who went to school and did all the top things. So most of the things I heard about him was just from people who knew him. I know at one time there was this Leather Research Institute of Nigeria. I heard at the time he was a provost. He studied something around chemistry. He went to the highest level of education in his line. So probably if I had grown up with him, we would have had that discussion, being his first son or first child. My mom went to standard 4. I thought with education wise, my mom wanted us to at least go to secondary school and the best in the area at the time. So the secondary school I went to, I was the only one going to that school from the whole community. I had to take 2 different forms of transport to get there. That's how she wanted it, because she saw that education as a way to escape, as an escapism, a way to escape what was happening at the time in Nigeria, when you get young boys being armed robbers and all of that, people hawking food on the streets, no beef, no disrespect to any of them. She never wanted to see us doing that, hawk any products on our head, no matter how much hunger was there. So she thought education, at least to the secondary school level, would give us that route to escape all of that. My elder brother, who was the same as the enforcer, who would beat black and blue, he was the one who noticed and he saw all of this. And from very young age, he would just gather us and other kids from the area, and they would be doing current affairs with us.
Okay.
When I was, 9? I did go to some debating club at the time. I would tell you I would name the presidents of almost all the African countries at the time, name their capital cities and all of that, Nigerian governors, everything I would name them. Still now, I still have interest in those sort of stuff. So he saw that, but I think he wanted me to read the science, do the sciences. That's further maths, physics, chemistry. That's why he sent me for extracurriculars that we called lessons at the time. And they would force me to do all of this. And when you get extra lessons, man, you got no excuse not to pass those subjects. But I didn't get those subjects. I think I only got chemistry. I didn't get further maths. I hated further maths and physics. But I was very good in literature, anything that had to do with language. I was good at it. So
Yeah.
I could see where my pathway was going. And I liked law. I wanted deep down to become a lawyer or a writer. So journalism and law was my thing. But they never, no one ever pushed me through that way or said, okay, this is how you go about it. So I ended up watching TVs mostly about Gani Fawemi. So I would really enjoy law program and watch them and just junk on them. And I would be carrying big law books that I found on the dustbin somewhere, like carrying it on the street. So I really, I never had those conversations with anyone, no one. But elder cousins and my brothers, they would say, you're a very brilliant kid, man. You need to go school. That's it. You need to go school and become something. It's not like you need to go do this and become that. But I can see why most parents then would point to the doctors in the community there, because they saw them as a measure for success. They wore the white overall coat. So they saw that as opposed to seeing the engineer, you know. So even having said that, though, some of my friends who did well in that line, in that aspect of science subjects, most of them, they're not doing what they set out to do, because it's just putting square pegs in round holes. Oh, I don't know how to say that word. That's what their parents were doing. And that's what, because I knew at the time, not just looking back, I knew at the time that Nigerian education was just about cramming. I knew that a lot of people were dons up there. I knew that they just crammed the things and passed the exams. No one was able to think critically or think outside of the box, except those who really like literature and the rest. Because literature, like drama, like what Tyler did, it gives you the ability to be imaginative and be creative. And but there's a danger to that. Because you're then creative and you're always trying to think in the abstract, you ended up being called a liar. Anything you say, they say you're a liar, because you're trying to form these stories in your head and, dramatize. But so that's it. I never had those conversations with anyone. Never did. All they did was go school. That's it. Yeah.
G, we have a question for you from one of our audience, and they would like to know if, so they put, are there things you were forced to do when you were younger that you hated, but you really enjoy now that you're older?
Absolutely not. The key phrase there is force. I'm even trying to think, was there anything I was forced to do that not really. I naturally enjoyed reading, and my dad, anytime he came to the UK, he'd buy me whichever author he'd seen me reading, he would buy me their whole collection.
Complete set.
So he'd buy like the complete set. So one time I found what's the Enid Blyton books, something 5, famous 5, something 5.
The famous 5, I think it is.
I think so. He bought the whole thing. I found a copy of Tintin once, the cartoon. He bought me everything. I remember I had everything apart from one, because on the back of the Tintin comics, you can see all the different. They're like a book, like an A3 book. Yeah. And these are the things that I left behind when I came. I mean, like I said, I came with like 2 weeks' notice, so I didn't bring anything, and I think they all got binned or whatever. But so I used to have a lot of books. So reading was the one thing that came naturally to me. I think in terms of being forced to do something, once there's that thing of control of you have to do this thing, I can guarantee you I have no interest in it, because I like to, and even at my big age, I still have to remind myself that I have the right to say no to certain things that I don't want to do. Because sometimes someone says you should do something, I'm like, oh, okay. And I know I'm not happy about it. I'm like, wait, hang on a second. No, I'm not doing that. So when I respond back to them, it's got so much defense in there. They don't understand what they've said. But off the top of my head, I can't think, apart from reading, which I naturally like to do, I can't think of anything. Because dancing is something I still do. I was never forced to do it. I dance at the drop of a hat. All I have to do is hear music. And thankfully, my son has the same thing. As soon as he hears music, it doesn't matter. He dances to my alarm when he goes off, and he knows all the words and everything. So it's not really something. I mean, there's not. I can't remember. I can't think of anything I was forced to do. Yeah. Subject wise, that I enjoy now. Not one thing. Not one.
Okay. I can think of something. For me, my parents, as I said, they wanted doctors. So I was forced to study biology, chemistry, and maths. Chemistry, Biology, no clue. Maths, I genuinely enjoy maths. Even up till now, maths is my forte. I love maths with passion. But then they, as I said, they wanted me to go into medicine, and I found a loophole around it because I then said, well, I'd become a forensics pathologist. So I will then study dead bodies. So I was like, okay, I'll do that one. And then I was like, you know what? No, I want to do forensic science. So they were like, okay, that will work. You're not going to be a medical doctor, but you can do forensic science. It still sounds good. So my first degree is in forensic science. But however, I decided, So it still sort of followed them, but not what they wanted, till eventually I went into teaching for me to start to teach. But there's a question that's coming, it's not to do with careers, going back to sort of our upbringing and the structure of our family. And this question goes to Tyler. Tyler, one of our viewers would like to know sort of where your stepdad is from, because you've had a mixed upbringing or blended upbringing.
Yeah, my stepdad's actually, he's born in Guyana. Like his mum's from Guyana, but his dad's like Portuguese, I believe. I don't think his dad really close or anything, but yeah, so Portuguese Guyana, not Ghana, Guyana. So like South American kind of.
Is it the French Guyana or something?
French Guyana, is that somewhere different? I'm not sure, to be honest. Guyana's South America. Yeah. So his upbringing was, again, completely different. African. My dad's Nigerian, and then stepdad's, Guyanese. And my mom's mixed, half white Scottish, and her dad was African American, who she didn't meet till she was 31. I mean, so yeah, it's all over the place, man.
Wow. And then I'm just going to bring it back to when we spoke. We're talking about our careers, but also talking about what our parents do not talk to us about. But what about our parents talking about us? So, for example, I know, and my whole family would say, when my parents sort of talk to us, it's always been a case of what you're doing it, it's not good enough, you need to take another step, you need to do this. But do you want to finish? How are they when they talk to other people about you?
So, where do I'm lost for words. My dad mainly talks to me or to my sister and I whenever he'd come over to visit. He would mainly talk about what we're not doing, like you said. Not that he's here with us, so our report cards are fine. He's seen them. We're passing our exams. He doesn't live here with us, but he will still sit us down for 1-2 hour lectures where he just talks at us about stuff we're not doing or stuff we should be doing. Not once asking what we're actually doing and how we're doing it. None of that. So he'll talk at us, and to the point where my sister and I kind of used to mentally prepare ourselves for that sit-down chat, knowing that it wasn't going to go anywhere. There's nothing positive that's going to come out of it. So we just kind of brace ourselves, listen to it. Okay, an hour, 2 hours. Okay, Dad, I have to go, whatever, and then we leave. But I'll then go, there'll be other times when I'll go collect where obviously you'd be sending money across, and it's cheaper to give it to someone coming over. So I'd go and collect money from Mrs. whatever over there. And then it's someone I've never met before. And I'd go there, and before the person would give me the money, obviously you sit down, you chit chat. And I remember one in particular, the lady started eulogizing, I don't know what the other word is, just talking about, oh my God, your dad is so proud of you. He's this, he's that. He doesn't stop talking about you. Everybody knows about you. He's so proud of his children that are here. He talks to everybody about you. She went on for a good 10 minutes. And I'm trying to keep a straight face because I'm like, I don't know who this one was talking about, but hey, my dad. And she was talking to us, because obviously this one I don't know, and I can't say, my dad, you got it wrong.
So
but
much about you.
And then she talked so much to the point where she was crying. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so happy for you guys. Kinikon. So in my mind, I was just thinking, the parking I need to go and pay for where I've stopped to put my car. Please just give me what I need. Let me come and be going. But I listened to her. I was like, yes, I know. Thank you, ma. Yes, we thank God. Thank you, ma. And then when she finished, I left and I burst into laughter, like just laugh. And I'd call my sister, I told her, and she was just laughing. We're like, so we hear all these things from different people, but never
not
from
said
them
directly to us. I think for my parents, it's taken them probably up to around now where they can say things like, you're doing well. But as we were growing up, it wasn't a case of, we're proud of you, what you're doing is really good, and you're making those, you're making your way, your career, you're progressing in your career, you're doing amazingly. My parents didn't really used to say that. They
I
were
don't
proud
think
in
my
their,
dad
in their
really
own way.
knows
So,
what
for
I do.
example, when we all graduated, they were very proud of that. So there's all the pictures and everything. They put that up in their
Oh
house.
yeah, they want the pictures. They put all
But
the
it's nice
pictures in
to
the
hear.
house.
It's nice
Absolutely.
to have those
To
words
hear
said
it.
to you.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to say is,
Yeah,
I know we're pressing time
absolutely.
as well, is the topic today is coming of age. So I'm just going to do a quick fire round where each person is just going to quickly say at what age were they okay to just tell their parents, you know what, this is my life. I'm old enough. I'm making my decisions and I am doing what I want to do. So at what age? For me, I must have been about age 27. Tyler?
Wow. I'd probably say off the top of my head around, call it 19 turning 20. Reason being is because I moved out of home. I was living on my own back in London.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think then.
Okay. Jude?
I don't think there was ever a time I was able to tell my mom that this is because my relationship with her was different. So, but when I took my power back from my elder brother, I think I was, once I was like 19 or 20. My younger one had done something wrong, and he wanted me to go grab him, bring him so he can beat him. And I ran to that one. I said, "Run!" And he saw me do that, and I came back and I had the cheek to say to him, I not see Henry, so I not see him, so what? And he started to whip me. Unknown to him, I think I was having a girl come see me that time that I had met my cousin, and I knew they were coming. I saw them from the junction of the street, they were coming. And he started whipping me with belts. So that girl, the sight of that girl and her friends coming, just spurred me on, and I grabbed the belt.
Nice.
My brother will watch this, and I whipped him back with it like once or twice, and I said, "We'll die here today. We'll die here today." I did it because of that girl. Her name
That's
is
what women
Harriet.
can do for men, boy. Give them
Yeah,
power.
her
Like
name is Harriet, and yeah, she's married now with children. And I was so angry. As I did that, that was it. I had to leave the house. There was no way go back. So that was the only time I had that young girl at the time around. And I suffered for that because my brother just went through the few clothes that I had, and he used scissors and went through all of them.
But you took back your power. You showed him.
That was the day, and that was when it stopped. And my mom backed me. That was when it stopped.
G?
Before I answer that quickly, my sister just reminded me I do like cooking. As a young girl, you always had to be in the kitchen when mom was in the kitchen. Didn't matter what's going on, you stand there, you watch, ask no questions, just watch. So I do like to cook, but not as much because obviously, as some of you know, my husband's a chef now, so I don't really see my kitchen. When I do see my kitchen, I experiment with things he wouldn't eat. So, but I still like to cook. In terms of when I realized my life was my own, I think I was 24. I remember I was jobless. I just finished asking my dad for money for the first time in maybe since I was like 18 because I didn't have a job. And what he came back with, both him and my son, what they'd said was so pivotal. It was so life-changing that I was like, you know what? I don't actually have to listen to this anymore. And I remember my dad was about to launch into another lecture because he asked me to go and buy international credit to call him with so that he could lecture me. And he said I should make sure I had enough for like an hour. This is me that I just told you I don't have a job. I'm not paid rent in 3 or 5 months. You ask him to go and buy credit to call you to yap me for asking you for money or something. And I remember he said something like, "Hey, well, whatever you're doing to your landlord that is not minded that you haven't paid rent in 5 months, keep doing it." I said, "Dad, what does that mean?" And he goes, "Well, you're an adult. You know what that means." I was like, "Right, okay." That's when I thought, you know what? I don't have to do this anymore. You know, you actually can't do anything to me. You can't do anything for me right now. So thank you so much. And I will never take for granted the fact that I came here to get a fantastic education and where it's led me to. But in terms of when I took my power back, that was when I was 25.
Yeah.
The first time anyway.
Okay. Thank you very much. I have to say what we've done is, so we've spoken about our upbringing and our parents and how their upbringing, our upbringing was influenced by them and how it built into our teenage years and our early adult years. And today what we thought was we wanted to just express sort of when we took back our control, so we are adults. Okay, we're thinking of maybe the next one would be how that influences how we bring up our children. So in the next couple of weeks, we will have another episode that talks about our coming of age, because I think we can go into a bit more detail in regards to taking back our power, and as well as how that's influenced how we bring up our own children. But what I wanted to say to you all is many thanks for tuning in with us this evening. If you can please ensure that you hit the subscribe and the notification so that you know that when we post something, you get that notification, as well as like our videos. So we will see you next time. So this is us, and we have arrived.
See you later, people. Thank you.
It's like that.
No, it's like this.
Oh yeah. Why? It looks like epileptic hand the way they do it.
You just move it from the wrist, didn't it? I'm sure you've heard that before.